Hi everybody, and welcome back to my channel, Librarian California, where today I'm going to do a book review of a nonfiction, science-based book on fracking. It's called Amity and Prosperity, One Family, The Fracturing of America. The author is Eliza Griswold. It was published in 2018. It sits at 305 pages plus notes, and it was published by Farrar, Straus, and Giroux. Now, this book, again, if I've already lost you when I mention it's about fracking, please hold on. I'm going to give a book review, but if you don't think you can get through this book, I'm going to suggest a movie for you to watch. It's not the same story, but it'll give you the same kind of feel, so just hang in till the end. So, I read this book. It was actually suggested to me as it was put forth as a suggestion. I'm a science librarian. I like science. They already had me there. It was on science in small town, rural America. This takes place on the edge of Appalachia in Pennsylvania. Amity and Prosperity are actually town names in Pennsylvania. And so the story surrounds Stacy, and Stacy's a nurse. She's a single parent. She's got 2 children. They live on a farm, and basically what happens is their animals get sick. Their pets get sick, her children get sick, and this story is the long quest to figure out what's happening and what she can do about it. Now, if you're from a small town, you might enjoy it just to see the small town politics play out. This is definitely that on display, how different factions can form in small towns, different sides can form. It really gives you an insight into rural America. If you aren't from a small town, it might be an interesting read just to learn about rural America. It's good to read outside of what you know and what you're familiar with. So small town politics are fighting in, and basically what happens is a big corporation comes in promising jobs and money, which desperately is needed in rural America. And with that comes problems. And that's what this story is really about. It's difficult. At times, it's easy to get, mad at or angry. It's definitely big corporation, big lawyers versus small town America, small town lawyers. David versus Goliath. That's kind of how I look at this. And you really see our government on display. You start to question, who is the government working for? Are they working for big corporations? Are they working for everyday Americans? And you just see a lot of ups and downs. Like, this is definitely a roller coaster ride with many lows, but also some highs. And so it really gives the reader, it is a longer read. I felt like it's not necessarily a page turner, but it really goes in depth into not only fracking and understanding that, but understanding how the law and our legal system really plays out. It can be a long and arduous process, taking years and years and years, and sometimes with still no resolution. It can be very frustrating to read this book, regardless of whatever your opinions are on fracking, but it's definitely, if you're interested in fracking, in climate change, in rural politics, in big corporations, promising jobs and prosperity to rural America and how that can be exploited, definitely consider giving this a read. It was very eye-opening. I really enjoyed it, but I understand not a lot of people, that's not necessarily their jam, and they don't necessarily want to read that. So I know a couple other people that read it, and they just said, it just took them, they kind of slogged through the ending just because, they just didn't know it was going to happen. They just had given up hope on the legal system, the justice system, and the EPA, and the government, and state government, and local governments, and politics, and it's very disheartening. But I think it's important to understand that not everything is quick to resolve and get over in many things. So anyways, I think it's worth a read. I enjoyed it. Now, that said, if you're like, nope, I'm not going to read this, let me suggest something else. I would suggest watching the movie Dark Waters. It came out in 2019. It's a drama. It's a thriller. It stars Ruffalo. It's based on a true story. It is not this story. So I'm not trying to say that this is the story of Amity and Prosperity. It's not, but it's very similar. Big corporation, small town America, promising things, jobs, the influence that big corporations have, the lawyers they have, the resources they have, how they use the legal system to their advantage, how they try to just really bog down people to the point where they can't litigate anymore, to the point where they can't fight anymore. And that is a very similar story. Now, again, two different stories, but both good. So if you're interested in both, totally read them. They're both kind of environmentally based, about big corporations doing bad things. They might be appealing to you, both of them, if you're interested in that. If you're not, but you're still interested in, having an understanding of, corporate America and lawyers and companies and some of the things that they can go bad and how they double down on being bad and triple down and quadruple down being bad, and how they can, just be awful at times, then watch the movie Dark Waters. It came out, like I said, a couple months ago in 2019. We're in 2020 now. I'm sure it's available to view online for rental or purchase by now. But Mark Ruffalo does a really good job playing an attorney. In that story, he actually is a corporate attorney who actually switches sides to represent somebody in a case that is personal to him and affects where he's from. So again, these two stories are similar, not the same, both good. I'd recommend both, but if you aren't going to read a book on fracking that's a couple hundred pages long, and if you aren't really interested in reading about corporate America and lawyers and our judicial system and who government works for, then skip to the movie. And if you don't want either, I understand that too. But anyways, I want to make sure I shared this book. It was really good, but again, I'm not going to spoil it. I don't want to tell you what happens in the end, but it's definitely worth a read. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you like to watch more videos like this, please consider subscribing to my channel. And again, I know many of you can't be at your local libraries, but eventually we'll be able to go back to our local libraries. But check out their websites, grab a book, do some reading, and kind of escape to what's going on right now in the world around us. So until next time, have a great day.